Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Bloody Brilliant podcast. I'm Jamie, and as always, joined by Emma. How are you doing?
I am great, thank you. How are you, Jamie?
I'm doing bloody brilliant.
Hey.
There you go. I just love how the fact as well, like most people that are actually watching this video can actually see that knife behind you. It looks like it's just sticking out of your arm. It's just literally just like
I keep
sticking
I
out.
keep doing the wrong arm. Like, yeah, it's this arm, yeah.
So as we discussed 2 weeks ago, as I always forget what the word is, it's fortnightly. We do episodes fortnightly. We said that we are going to talk about prom night. So we're having a little discussion before about prom night. Say 14 years ago in 2007, my prom night was. It was an emotional time, like just finishing high school, dressed up, got a limo. It was great. Did you have a limo for your prom night?
No, I got driven by my neighbour. I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't want to go to prom. I
You could
kind of
tell
had
by
to.
your like facial expressions from the pictures.
Yeah, I was deputy head girl, so I kind of had to go. And then like give out the awards and stuff. But other than that, yeah, I would have really not been fussed to go or not. But it's one of those things. Everybody goes. Kind of have to
Yeah.
go, don't you? Just to be wee mates.
Well, this is the thing as well, because I wasn't too fussed about prom or graduation when I graduated from university. I was like, what's so funny about it? I have to pay 80 quid to get a cap and gown, go to it, wait 5 hours before my
Yeah.
name gets called, and then you're not even allowed to throw your hat in the air. So like, what's the point? So I
Yeah,
went, obviously, but you know.
it's definitely one of those things that is obviously with this film. It's very American. It's a very American tradition, which has kind of made its way over into the UK. But I can see like graduation. I get it because it's you're all celebrating that you finished your like degrees and things like that. But yeah, prom I can do without. Yeah, I could have done without.
I just love the fact with prom as well, because they always do like punch bowls in America and stuff, don't they? I don't know what the alternative over here, because could you imagine like in the UK just like some Ribena just in a massive glass bowl? But it's just a weird concept, especially within the UK. And they always do the prom for high school, so you're too young to drink. Even in the UK, you're under the age of 18, whereas obviously in
Yeah,
America it's 21. So it's like, all right, I don't know.
yeah. I think it's definitely again one of those. It's a social thing, isn't it? I think people ride a lot on the social aspect of it. Are you going with a date? Are you not going with a date? Where did you get your dress from? What does it look like? What color is it? Things like that. Well, in my case, wearing a dress. And then obviously for yourself, it'd be getting a suit. Are you getting a limo? Are you going with someone? Are you going to be mates?
Yeah, yeah. I went with a group of guys. I think there was about 8 of us in this limo, and then we stayed up all night, and then it was great. But then you get all these films like in America, like American Pie and stuff, where it's like, oh, it's your prom, you've got to do all of this kind of thing. It's like, I don't know, it's not that big over here.
No.
For things like, oh, I've got to lose my virginity by prom. Like nobody cares in the UK.
Yeah, we don't
So,
care. We don't care
but
at all. But any
I,
excuse to party. Any excuse.
that's definitely a UK tradition. Anything, what is the beer? Yeah, let's do it.
Let's
Why
do
not?
it.
But unfortunately, we're not here to talk about our own prom nights. We're here to talk about the 1980 slasher movie directed by Paul Lynch, Prom Night. Not that 2008 remake that, you know. Do you know anything about the remake, by the way? It's a completely different storyline. I was reading up on it. And it's
So
besides Britney Snow, I love Britney Snow, but
I was just about to say that's literally all I know about it. That it is Britney Snow. It's not. It was one of those ones that I kind of skipped. Anything that's kind of like around a prom or like sorority sisters, things like that, I just can't. I can't be bothered to watch. I don't find them quite as interesting. But I was pleasantly surprised by this one. Maybe because it's an '80s like spin on it rather than the 2000s.
yeah, I think it was a completely different story. When I was reading the plot for it, I wanted to see if it would still follow the same conventions as the other one. The only thing that's similar is it's at a prom night when the killings happen, really, but that's literally it. All the character names have changed, the stories change. Leslie Nielsen's not in it, so you know.
I mean, you say that, But in general, Leslie Nielsen's in it about 10 minutes. So he was
Yeah, but he's great.
He's such a big brand. So this is one of the things that I kind of noted was that he's such a big name for the time. Obviously, second to Jamie Lee Curtis, but he was hardly in it. I was like, oh, 2 scenes done.
Yeah, I think this was before he moved to comedy as well. I think with his drama roles, because he was quite big in drama, and then decided to go down the comedy route with The Police Squad and Naked Gun and Airplane. I think this was just before he did Airplane. So what I say, Airplane is 1980 as well. But Leslie Nielsen was always a straight actor who did all these serious films, and he was, fun fact, top billing for this film. He was the first name on the call sheet.
Very nice.
So, and like I said, he was only in it for 10 minutes, even though he was number 1 on the core sheet, above Jamie Lee.
Again, that's one of those kind of things of we spoke about this last time, where they sort of pitch a lot of promotions on one person who ends up not actually being in the film for that much. I mean, play it right, to be fair. People are going to come.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the things, maybe it would be... I mean, let's get into it. I mean, before we do properly go into it, I just want to put out the spoiler alert. Obviously, if you haven't watched this film, what are you doing listening to this podcast? Just pause it right here. Go watch it, and we'll see you again in like 90 minutes, because it's only about 85 minutes. So stop, go watch it, and then come back to us, and we will see you then. For everyone who has watched it, or don't care about spoilers, maybe that's some people are like that, then why? I don't get it. But the spoilers are like the twist of one of the best parts about the film. So from this point now, spoilers are in effect. We are in a spoiler zone. So anyway, the killer. No, but that's what I was going to say though. With Leslie Nielsen being the top villain and not in it so much, I know there was that aspect of there, well, maybe he is the killer, that's why he's been that top villain, that's why he's not been, because he had the mask in his office, he wasn't around when any of the killings were there. It was his daughter that died at the start of the film.
I was like, we've kind of skipped a lot.
I know, yeah, I'm just going about Leslie Nielsen there, but we'll go back to the beginning in a minute. But that's why I was saying maybe that's why he got first villain, because he was a red herring. But
true, very true.
But I mean, we will start at the beginning. It's the best place to start. What a crazy and scary game to play in a mental asylum school. What I mean, I don't know what that building was, but
it said, I'm sure they referenced it to be an old factory of some sorts, but it did look like a school. Prime place for kids to play. A dilapidated building. Love that. Great place. Catch Killers Coming, which I'm guessing I've never heard of it before, but similar to hide and seek.
Except you're just going to shout abuse and go kill, kill, kill.
Yeah, it was a very aggressive game for children. Yeah, I'd be scared too if I had come across a group of 4 kids just shouting kill at me, to be completely fair.
Yeah, just the one thing like that. No, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit again. Sorry, you'll get used to this. But obviously, it starts with the film with the 3 of them. You've got Jamie Lee Curtis's character and her 2 siblings at the start.
You've got Kim, Alex, the brother, and then Robin,
yeah. So you got them 3 going in, and she's like, I want to go play in there. And it's like, all right, yeah, I think Billy's in there or something. Is that cool? All right. And then Jamie Lee just leaves her. Then she dies. And then when it goes into present day, 4 years later, she's best friends with these people.
So maybe because I have comments on this. So a little bit of context is that there's four children playing in a dilapidated building. There is Nick. There's 1 boy and 3 girls. Nick, Jude, Kelly, and then the main girl of. You're gonna have to help me. I had a name written down, and I can't remember what it is now.
So you had Nick, Wendy. Is it Wendy?
Wendy. It's Wendy. So, group of 4 kids all playing a game. Jamie Lee Curtis's younger self in it, the character of Kim, is walking past these kids playing the game with her twin younger siblings, Alex and Robin, but has to run back to school to go collect something. Robin decides she wants to go and investigate and maybe join in the game, and one thing leads to another, and there is an accident, and sadly Robin falls out of a window and dies. The kids decide to leave it and not tell anyone that they've been there. I mean, understandably, I guess, as children probably would be scared in that situation to talk to someone, though it is noted that Nick does say that he wants to go get someone to help, and then Wendy, being the typical mean girl, decides, nope, we're going to go home, we're just never, ever, ever going to talk about this. So, yeah, that was kind of... if I was Kim's character, the amount of you would be devastated. Obviously, I feel like you'd kind of feel partially responsible as well.
Mm-hmm.
But she, like you said, she doesn't seem to have any of that ill feeling, because she ends up being best friends with all of these. With 3 of these 4 people. She ends up actually dating Nick, doesn't she? Later in the film.
Yeah. And going to prom with him.
And going to prom with him, which then takes us to her being prom queen and king with him, which, slightly just off topic, I always thought from all of the other American stuff that I've consumed that you found out who your prom king and queen were on the night. Mm-hmm. But these 2 knew who were that they were going to be prom king and queen before they went. So I was a bit thrown by that. I was like, they're just very organised at this school.
I want to maybe put it out as a little bit different, maybe because this film was in the 1980s and it is a Canadian film. Maybe it's different in Canada. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, like you said, you always find out you have to vote for them, and then they'll be announced, and then they'll have their first dance and stuff. As it always is during these prom movies that we've actually watched. From all these teen films and stuff like Mean Girls, like I said, Katie, and stuff like that as well. But yeah, it was a bit strange to say, oh, you're going to practice your entrance and dance and stuff. It was like, all right.
Cool. No problem. I mean, there was a full dance routine. I think that was possibly one of my favourite scenes. The full dance routine. Jamie Lee Curtis, crazy. What moves? Get her more dancing related films.
The best thing Mercedes says, we need to do this for Halloween. We need to learn this dance and do it for Halloween. I was like, Jesus.
That is dedication, that is.
Yeah. But if we go back, what I was saying, like I said, I just find it weird that she befriends these people and starts dating them, and I'm pretty sure she knows who's in that building, so surely she should suspect it was something with them, because obviously somebody got arrested for it, and obviously locked up in an asylum, didn't he?
Yeah, I think
for the murder.
It's a lot of these. I think she knew at least Nick was there, because she only saw Nick from the outside. She didn't really know who was inside. Mm-hmm. And also, for all she knew, she had sent Alex and Robin back home, and Robin had decided to break up from Alex and stay, whereas Alex had carried on his merry way. I think my perspective was that, how could they live with themselves 6 years later and be best friends with this family? I mean, we come to find out that this is the principal's family of their high school that they end up going to. So that constant reminder of your best friends and dating the older sister of this little girl that's died. You're also obviously under the ruling of this principal as well. It's just, I definitely would break under that kind of pressure of keeping that secret.
Later on in the film, I know Nick does start having a little bit of regrets. I know it was 6 years later, but he's still like, oh, it's prom night. I want to tell you what happened. No, it was 6 years ago because prom night's so special. I want to tell you. I feel like I really need to. He didn't get a phone call, or did he? Like, he walked out before his phone call actually happened, because at the start of the film, all of these people that were involved were getting these phone calls from the voice going,
yeah, and I think that kind of gives him a bit of a character development, because he's obviously doing it off his own back rather than being instigated by this phone call. This phone call that happens on the day of prom, which also coincides with the
6-year anniversary.
The 6-year anniversary, but also the day that the criminal who'd been jailed for the crime, for the killing, had escaped. So there's a lot of things going on. We've got an anniversary, we've got prom night, and we've also got someone out on the loose that's potentially going to come and hunt people down. As so the police thought, who again, there was a lot of tropes being hit in this film. We've got principal's daughter, we've got he's the son of Nick is the son of the detective of the case as well. You know, an overly religious sort of virgin character, all these different things. I was just like ticking these boxes as we went. I was like, there it is.
Well, this is it as well because it was 1980 and it's definitely one of the earlier influences within the slasher genre. Because I think before that there was arguably 2 or 3 like slasher films before it. One being Halloween, if you count Texas Chainsaw, and what I regard as the first slasher film. Because I don't regard Texas Chainsaw as a slasher film. Sorry. Is Black Christmas. That for me is the first official slasher movie. And then you've got like 1960s Peeping Tom and Psycho as like the grandfather of them all. They didn't know what they were, but they were the foundations of the slasher movie, which then became after your Italian giallo films in 1974. And then Prom Night, like I said, off the success of Jamie Lee Curtis from Terror Train and Halloween, she did this film and basically became a scream queen. But yeah,
I think this could be controversial. I prefer Jamie Lee Curtis in this than I did in Halloween. I just wanted to like her character so much. Whereas like I wasn't really fussed one way or another with Laurie. I mean, you do appreciate Laurie as a character. She's a very strong character. She's a very good character. But I don't know. There's just something about Kim. I think it was there was definitely a family vibe with the whole film. Obviously, when you suffer trauma in that kind of family sense, you would become close with your brother and your parents and things like that. So I think it was nice to have more of a family setting for this character, because obviously Laurie's quite an independent character in that sense, whereas it was nice for Kim to be a little bit more family connection and kind of be fleshed out a bit more in that aspect.
Nick's again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you see her family in Halloween, do you?
I think
because obviously she's just a babysitter.
Yeah, I think she speaks to her parents once, like she shouts to them down the stairs. I think that's literally about it. So yeah, I think that was what I liked about it. About her. Also, she just seemed very much. It was very much more of a happy-go-lucky teenager. She's running around the corridors in school. She's got her friends. They're planning their prom nights and things
Very
like that.
formal though for a high school student. She was getting dressed and she was walking in. I was like, "Is she a teacher here?" I don't know what's going on because she was proper dressed up.
I've literally got a note here that is like, I love Kim's school outfit. She had those fitted jeans, and she had the like really nice, what I would call a grandma shirt. It was very frilly, very very embroidered, and then she had that really nice fitted like. Oh, I'm just going to talk about her clothes for a sec because they were sick. I'd wear that outfit. Her hair was amazing as well. Also, I know this is a film. It's not like it's supposed to be believable or anything like that. She goes, has PE, sweats, has a shower, and then her hair is amazing. She's just come out of the hairdressers after leaving the girls' changing room. I was like, I wish my hair looked like that after like
dream,
anything. It is the dream. She had the best hair as well. Honestly, yes.
I mean, you want to talk about the best hair? I mean, you want to talk about the best facial hair and stuff like that or whatever. I mean, you can't look any further. Sorry, my computer decided to just go a little bit crazy. You can't look any further than that. I mean, look at that.
Oh,
I mean, look at that face. I mean, when he turned up, I was like, what is happening right here? Am I watching Hills of Eyes? I don't know what's going on here. But, yeah, I can't remember the character's name. I don't know who's got it there. Lou. Like, Jesus Christ. That monobrow.
I remember because I mentioned to you before we went live, I watched this with Eloise. She will contest the actual pure. I hated him. every time he was on the screen, I was like, don't touch her. Anyone. Even he was like in a scene with Kim, and he's just like touching her back and then like slapping her butt, and I was just like, don't touch her. Don't touch her. And then even when he was with the one character that I couldn't hate any more than him, but Wendy, I was still like, don't touch her. Ugh, don't
in that
touch
car
her.
scene with the waitress coming over, and it's like, just order whatever you want, and he's like, oh, 2 burgers, yeah, they're there.
Don't. Hated him. Hated him, hated him, hated him. And I think that was obviously very good acting, because I just hated him so badly. I wanted to punch him every time he came on the screen. I couldn't.
Should we put it back on there?
No, don't. But it was just very much one of those things of like, he just looked dirty as well. And no.
You can definitely tell Patrick Verona took his looks off him.
Who?
Patrick Verona in 1999, 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, yes, okay. I was like, what?
Who? Heath Ledger in
Heath
10
Ledger.
Things I Hate About You.
You
I mean,
couldn't-
look at him. You've got the comparison. Look at that.
You couldn't. Heath Ledger would never be able to get to that level because he's too handsome a man. You just. And do you know what? No, nothing against the actor that played Lou, because I went and googled him afterwards, and I was like, they definitely made him more ugly on purpose in this film, because he didn't look like that away from the film. And I was just like, oh, how upsetting would it be? You go into a casting office and they're like, fantastic, you're the right shade of ugly that we need. Just, you are fantastic. I'd be like, oh, that's very offensive. I wouldn't like that.
But obviously, I mean, he was talking how he, like, say, touched Kim, or he kept quite groping and obviously starting fights stuff. He was a nasty character, but in the end, he got his comeuppance. I mean, that bit towards the end, I mean, we're jumping ahead again, but you know, we'll come on to it. But it was head rolling.
Exactly, head rolling. I think as well. Again, you know, like how you're saying, this is very early days for slash films and things like that. The kills in this film, I think we're in some good time where we can kind of jump ahead. You know, the daytime, the kids are getting like kind of messed around with. Someone's leaving pictures of them in their lockers, so on and so forth. But when it gets the film really starts about half an hour in, when you get to the prom, and it's just where everything starts to go a bit haywire. And yeah, he definitely had one of the better kills, and I was so happy when he was gone. I was like, he got his comeuppance.
I think one of my favourite kills in it. It gets shown a lot. I think it was in the Search of Darkness documentary as well. Is the one in the car.
In the van.
Yeah, they just open the van up and just like. But I mean, even that guy, Josh Gad, wanna be over there. I mean, how did he get her?
Slick. So again, you know, that you said that you'd seen that kill before. I definitely said that, and when I saw it, I was like, yes, I know what's about to happen. And it was just as good seeing it in the actual context of the film as it is when you see it as a as like a clip. But I just, don't be so mean. You know, she wanted a date. This lovely gentleman comes and drives up next to her. He's got a van. You know, he drives.
If that happened nowadays, you'd run.
Yeah, I mean, if a guy kind of like drove up next to you in a ratty old van.
You want to go to prom?
You want to go to prom? No, I want to go away from you.
Slick.
Yeah. Do you know who he reminded me of? You know Marge's prom date in Simpsons?
Jesus, no, maybe a very long time ago.
I forget what his name is, but that's who he reminded me of. I think it was the curly hair and the glasses.
It reminded me of Josh Gad a little bit.
I get where you're coming with that one as well. But, you know, I felt a bit bad. He had no reason to get attacked. I felt very bad for him. All he did was guilty by association with Jude. But,
yeah, I mean, he didn't get killed by the killer, though, did he? I think it was mainly...
I mean...
He died by driving away and then going off the cliff, but, you know...
I was going to say the killer kind of, like, instigated him to drive off the cliff.
I mean, he didn't have to. He could have turned, reversed. He could have done anything, really. But
well, true.
I mean, you've got to think as well, like, the killer, obviously we haven't told you who it is yet, but they were very limber. I mean, jumping all over the place, getting from, like, wherever they were having coitus all the way back to the prom.
coitus.
I mean, well,
I mean,
it's a PG podcast. It's not.
They were getting their steps in, that's for sure, because they went all the way outside to the cliffside to go kill Jude. They had already killed Kelly, who had like probably
Who's a virgin?
Who's a virgin? But also she had probably one of the most like wet lettuce boring kills. She got stabbed in the neck.
But she had the breasts.
She had the boobs out. She did. She was the one that had the boobs out. I mean, we got Jamie Lee Curtis and her in bra earlier in the scene, and then it was just typical 80s full-on boobs. But
which again, like if you talk about slasher stereotypes, the virgin usually survives, whereas she refused to have sex with the guy who was forcing himself on her, and then still died. Canada just don't follow any rules. Like, virgins aren't safe either.
True, but when you've got a price to pay for something that you did, it sets the rules again for these kinds of films. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer. Four people did something bad, didn't tell. I mean, different, isn't there? About it was still an accident anyway. Besides the point, but it kind of like, and they're paying the price later down the line. But yeah, Kelly's was it was neither here nor there. It was just a bit meh.
I think that was the first kill as well, weren't it? And then it all just went uphill from there.
Well, yeah, literally, like with each one. So there was Kelly, and then, like I said, he kind of ran outside and went and did Jude and Slick, and then came back again, and then it was the chase scene with Wendy through the school.
Which was great.
But also I was kind of sat there like, if you're going to have a prom in the school, surely you'd lock all the doors. You wouldn't just let the kids kind of wandering around in the science department, would you?
Well, they locked all the outdoor stuff, didn't they? Like, they chained all those doors. Like, well, that's fire hazard, surely.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Yes. I mean, if there's a fire in that prom, I mean, they were tearing it up on that dance floor. There could have been a fire. I mean, they were on fire during that dance scene, so there well could have been a fire. And then where would he have gone? He had nowhere to run.
Well,
but I blame the principal.
Blame the principal. He did kind of disappear at one point, which, like you said, kind of outlined we kind of already struck him off the list because you said Leslie Nielsen was a red herring, so he was on the list, but also struck off the list at the same time. But we also had the janitor, who this poor janitor, those kids were horrible to him. Why you always got to be horrible to the janitors?
Just like basically just pulled her pants down and went, "Look at my bum, don't you want it?"
I'm pretty sure that is like that she just that's a crime somewhere. She flashed him. Poor man. But yeah, I felt we've got the principal was kind of like put as a heron, and then you had the janitor where there was some shots where it was a bit like, oh, he's looking a bit dodgy. And then obviously we had the gentleman that had escaped from the institution.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, you go first.
I was just gonna say with the janitor as well. I thought maybe he was gonna have like a heroic moment where he would come in like save the day or sacrifice himself to save the kids, but that never happened. And then if you look later on in like teen slasher movies, like say Urban Legend, if you look right at the start, you've got the guy in the petrol station, like, there's someone in the back seat, like that whole kind of thing, like trying to save them, and he's just a nice guy.
Brad
who
Dourif.
Obviously, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things of, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. It's definitely one of them. But yeah, I think he did try. He tried later in the film. He did come in and kind of explain to the head teacher and everyone like, there's a killer in the school.
Troll in the dungeon.
Basically, he came busted in talking about troll in the dungeon. But I was reading up some of the Amazon tries to tell you, not tries, well it does tell you a little bit of trivia, and it was saying that obviously at the end of Wendy's extremely long like kind of evasion scene of evading the killer, she ends up locking herself in a sort of like stationery cupboard, like a essentially where all the janitor's tools would be. And apparently there's like a shadow Because
I saw a breathing man. I thought it was him, but that was never really talked upon with the breathing up and down. Like, because I don't know if when you rewatched it, you actually saw this figure in the corner. There was definitely some kind of shadow there breathing,
so.
but
So this was what I was. This was what I was kind of leading on to say. Is that apparently it's supposed to be the janitor, and that's how he ends up being able to go and warn the party that there's a killer because he ends up seeing
yeah,
Wendy being killed. But whether that is true or not, that's just what kind of one of those little tidbits of information
anyone
that
can put
Amazon puts
anything
in.
on there,
Yeah, they'll
can't
just say
they?
anything like, yeah, it was totally meant to be that. Totally wasn't a gaff on that.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
I know you were really excited to talk about it, so let's talk about that dance scene because I mean it was a full song, wasn't it? I mean it wasn't just like an excerpt of a song; it was basically like, all right, let's do this, and it was
Yeah.
just a massive like disco theme. I mean, granted, we are coming out of the 70s, going into the 80s, so it's understandable. Like I said, 1980 still gonna have this disco theme in there, but I mean it was one hell of a dance. Like I said, Jamie Lee could move.
Absolutely, and she gave us a little bit of a taste at the beginning of the film. Obviously, her practicing on the dance floor. Just another thing that I said whilst I was watching it is when did people stop dancing like that? When did it become uncool to just literally just go crazy on the dance floor? Because they were even the men, like a lot of the boys were like proper going for it as well, and I was like, yeah, go on then, you have a dance.
Just floss and dab now.
Yeah, or just two-stepping, just kind of
just
pointing everywhere.
with the fist out, just like yeah,
Drink in hand. But yeah, it was a nice prom. Though I didn't understand why there were so few students. It was a very small prom, and I was like, I would have thought this place would be absolutely rammed if it's supposed to be juniors and I forget what the higher ones are called.
We got juniors and seniors. You got freshmen.
Seniors.
Yeah, and you got freshmen and yeah, it's just seniors, isn't it? The last one, yeah. Freshmen's like when you first start. Then it's your juniors, then it's your seniors.
Yeah, so it must be a very small school, but yeah, it's very nice. The whole ceremony and stuff. I kind of going back to the sort of practicing aspect of the crowning. There's a bit where Nick pulls a prank on the tennis teacher who is like orchestrating them, and he pretends to strangle her from behind, like actually put his arms around her. And I was thinking, if that happened in real life, absolute exclusion on the spot. You would not even remotely close to your teacher like that. Whew.
Yeah.
You're not
no matter what kind of relationship you had though as well, is it? But yeah, especially in front of other students as well. But again, I think it was just adding this extra red herring thing into it, saying, "Oh, maybe it's him." Because I mean, I'm not sure if you remember, but from the movie Scream in 1996 in the video store, Randy says, "If the police just watch Prom Night, they will save time. There's a formula to it." A very simple formula, so it is referenced at that point as well. But I think maybe that's leading to the boyfriend. But obviously, spoiler: it wasn't the boyfriend.
It wasn't the boyfriend. So we're slowly sort of like scoring people off this list. I think there was quite a few kills. Some people just got in the way. Like poor Slick and no sympathy for but Lou kind of just got in the way of the end goal, which was to completely eradicate those 4 people that had fantastic work. It really looked very realistic, the actual like flaps of skin and such. But yeah, absolute hysteria of everyone running out of the place, to which then we have the final encounter around Kim, Nick and the killer, as everyone else is like evacuated. An axe is involved. I also would have been in Kim's position if my boyfriend was getting tackled to the ground by a masked assailant. I would have won a swing just in case I hit my boyfriend. But she swung true, and she managed to hit the assailant, which ended up bringing the sort of crescendo of the whole thing.
I was gonna say, like, you had that moment of just like the whole.
Yeah, that was very much a very cheap. So, yeah, that way. But I think that kind of like I've just moved my pillow. Oops. That I think it kind of like cemented the whole. I don't want to give too much away. I liked it. I liked that moment there, but I would have rewritten the ending personally.
Did you guess the killer, and at what point did you guess it was the person under the mask?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Myself and Eloise did. We
He's
did
not
fall.
behind that DJ desk. Where is he?
Well, it was to do with when they were attacking Jude and Slick, and it was seen to be quite a a thinner built person with very trendy shoes on, and I was like, that doesn't strike me as someone who's kind of been, like someone who's just been able to escape an institution, and is probably running around in the clothes that they've escaped in. So I was like, starting to sort of pull the lines there. And like I said, it was quite a thin built person. So I was like, it kind of rules out someone older. So that was where we were like, yeah, it's that person. It's that person. That's who it is. And then obviously it's kind of cemented in the eye scene, and Kim's very upset.
Yeah, I mean, I know obviously they had so many red herrings in there, whether that be the boyfriend earlier on, the father, and the original, I say killer, the one that got locked up because of it all. However, in the remake of Prom Night 2008, the killer, well, basically what happens is Brittany Snow's character gets assaulted by somebody, and then they get locked away, and then 3 years later he breaks out to get revenge, and it is him.
Okay.
No, nothing else. Like that. That's literally it. Like it's completely different. It's not her brother or anything. It's not her like sister or brother that's been killed. It's basically she's been attacked, and this killer's gonna come out and basically get revenge and try and get her. There was no like hidden like twist or anything like that. And I think it just goes to prove, I mean, if you want to have a quick look at that right there, on the remake of Prom Night 2008, scoring a whopping 7% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 38% of spilled popcorn. So, I mean, compared to that, I mean, this Prom Night got 50% 1980s version, 50%, 35 spilled popcorn as well. Not a lot of people liked it, but fun fact, during that time, it was the highest grossing Canadian film of all time. It made 1.5 million in the budget to 17 million in the box office, which I was reading a little article in this little sexy book I've got here in the special edition of Prom Night, was 1 million less than the budget for Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. So it couldn't even funded Star Wars. It couldn't have funded Star Wars, the box office. So there you go.
I think obviously once we discuss the final killer aspect of it, there was definitely a couple of things that I would have like rejigged a bit. And reading through the trivia on it seems like a lot was kind of cut out, which might have brought context to a later point. But also for the same fact, I'm also quite happy that some points were taken out, because it would have ruined the film a lot earlier than what it was. But I mean, it was shot in 24 days. There's only so much you can create, and to say that, I think it's beautiful shot film, especially in the 80s. I think the color palettes and everything's amazing in it, and with such a small setting, we've just got this one high school and a house, really, or two. I thought it was very nice. I thought it was very good.
So, I already said before we watched this that I've never watched the film before. This is the first time we both watched the film. But I knew who the killer was because it got spoiled in a documentary for... I'm pretty sure the documentary is Going to Pieces, which I don't know if you've watched that one, haven't you?
No.
Going to Pieces is like the greatest slasher documentary ever. You need to watch it.
Okay.
I mean, you live far away, but I'd lend you my DVD. But it's amazing. Like, it's the greatest like documentary on slasher ever. It's the whole history of slasher and stuff. And unfortunately, like I said, it got spoiled for me in that. But obviously, I was watching it to see if they gave away who it was earlier on as well. And I was watching, like I said, behind the DJ box to see if you'd be there, what was happening. So obviously, after it happened, he got bashed in the head. You had the eye looks. He's going outside the school like, oh, my head hurts. And then basically falls to the ground, blood coming out of his eye. And then the mask is taken off just to reveal who the killer is. Who is it?
Who is it? It's poor Alex.
It's Alex, the brother.
It's Robin's twin, which I thought I get it. I get the premise of why it's happened. You know, why he's a killer, and you know, they kind of make a little bit in his I want to say dying breaths. Are we guessing he died? It kind of got left on a bit of a this terrible thing's happened. Let's just leave the film
he
here.
did take an axe to the head. Whether it was the actual blade part, I'm pretty sure it just looked like the wood part.
Yeah,
it looked like the wood part, but I assume they wanted to go with the blade part.
Yeah. So let's go into the assumption that he has died. He was a very sympathetic killer. You know, he's lost his twin. Also, another thing for the wardrobe department: how do we make these two child actors that look nothing like each other twins? Matching t-shirts. They were both wearing the matching clothes right at the beginning.
Thing 1 and thing 2.
Literally. And although at the beginning of the film we think that Alex has, you know, left Robin to be, you know, you get in trouble, carry on, he actually goes back and ends up seeing poor Robin falling out of the window.
Yeah, which early on you just see that shadow coming up, but you don't know who it is at that point.
Exactly.
You're thinking obviously that's going to be maybe the guy who got locked away or something like that, and that's why he gets accused of it. But
yeah, and I think so when I was talking before about scenes that were taken out, which I appreciated had been taken out, there had been a scene earlier in the film where the dad had taken the mum to see a doctor. Obviously, she was suffering quite badly from, you know, her grief at this time with the anniversary coming round of Robin's death, and it had been mentioned then that Alex and Robin were twins, which if you hadn't worked out already and had been given that information in the film, I feel like that kind of would have given away the killer pretty early on, and I'm glad for that reason why it was taken out, because I really liked that sort of, you know, family relationship of like Kim and Alex. He was quite a protective brother, obviously, in those circumstances. He does jump in and beat up Lou and gets taken into the principal's office. He tries to. Also, one of my favourite things, like it's like a gaff at that point, is I hate him so much. Is that when they start to fight. It obviously seemed real enough that Jamie Lee Curtis shouts out the actor's name of Michael rather than Alex at the time. So you first hear her shout Michael, and then she goes, Alex. Oh God, Alex, no! And then it's like, oh, there you go. But I mean, he tried, and there's only so much a little brother can do to look after his older sister. But also a kind of, I don't know.
Unless she was just still in Halloween mode.
Yeah, true, Mike. I'll let you. I can talk very passionately about the ending and how I would possibly rewrite it. But I enjoyed the ending, but I think it could have been better. So I'll let you kind of have your thoughts on the ending first.
Yeah, I think again it was just kind of a weak ending, wasn't it? I mean, the final girl moment where she just hits her over there. Again, it's similar to Halloween where she stands up to the killer and fights her, which is why obviously Jamie Lee is one of the iconic final girls. Like she'll stand up to the killer. She's strengthened up. She's wielded the axe and swung it at him and done it. But it all of a sudden it just ended abruptly. Like I said, he went outside unmasked. She held him, cried a little bit. And then and that was it, really. I don't know really what else I could have expected. I already knew it was him, so I wasn't waiting for like a final twist or anything like that. But I don't know. Maybe going out in a blaze of glory by gunfire maybe would have been a little bit better if she had a gun. But it was just a bit weak with the axe just going, oh yeah, and I've got you there. They're looking at each other. Okay, now I'm just going to waddle outside. Just so.
I think so what I was going to say is that I think the whole scene where it was just Kim, Alex, and Nick. Nick's injured on the floor, you know, so on and so forth. That scene, you could have extended the story slightly along, where before Kim swung the axe, the killer was like, "Tell her what you did," and then Nick was then forced to confess, obviously, to Kim that he had witnessed and didn't do anything to Robin's death, which I kind of think. Because that kind of just got like, did Kim ever find out? Did they end up working it out? And I kind of would have just like that, and then obviously, you know, he ended up waddling out and collapsing on the floor. In that's maybe that little scene I would add in. Other than that, I kind of would have like another like crazy idea is maybe the whole family knew. Maybe Alex had told them and they were all in on it. That's why the dad had disappeared for a little bit, because he couldn't be felt. He didn't want to be seen liable for the situation. He and Kim sort of just knew that this was going to happen, which is why she became friends with them and ends up dating one of them. Just kind of, but that's me kind of thinking in modern history terms of that's what we would expect of a horror hit film these days. Obviously,
you needed the closure to obviously be like, well, this is why the killer was doing it. I know we know, but does she know? I mean, she just killed her brother for basically no reason.
Yeah, exactly. She just in her eyes, she just accidentally killed her brother. Like, for all she knew, he hadn't done any. She didn't know he had killed those other people. She just knew that was there in that instant. So, yeah, it kind of left me wanting more. And then the second Prom Night is not even related to this one. It's
or the third one. I think two and three relate to each other. I think basically a ghost supernatural kind of thing in number 3, I believe. So I think some girl called Mary Lou dies, and then in number 3, her ghosts like some shit like that. I don't know. I was just reading about them a little bit, and then like I said, Prom Night 2008 is completely different. I think the only thing is it happens on prom. I mean, so does Carrie. Make that Prom Night -1.
Does So when I was reading through some of the information around it, it was saying that there's 4 Prom Night films, and the only thing they all have in common is that it's the same school. Is it the same school in the 2008 one, or is there another one that we don't know about?
I have no idea, actually. Like I said, I just read a little bit about the 2008 one, just to see if the story was the same, to see, like I said, whether it would be the brother again, or who was playing the brother, or how it was done in this one. But like I said, it was just done in that way where this guy was stalking her and then came back, obviously, kill her again. But it doesn't actually say from where I'm looking at. It just says high school freshman. So maybe, I don't know, it doesn't actually tell me on Wikipedia. But maybe, like I said, maybe that's the only thing. But Jesus, you wouldn't want to go to that school then if it's like a link between them all, is it really? But,
yeah, literally.
Because just Prom Night 2 and 3, we haven't watched them. Maybe we will when we run out of films and we're like, oh, if we have to. Do they reference number 1?
It's literally just the school, apparently. It's just the school.
It's just named Alexander Hamilton High School. Just break into song of "My name is Alexander Hamilton."
Yeah, that's it. That's the only
Hamilton High School.
Carrying on of peace. So yeah, I think it was a positive experience. I enjoyed the film. I definitely would watch it again. Just it's that sort of, it's that bridge between late 70s to early 80s. You can kind of see the 80s aspects kind of slowly coming in, but there's also still the stylizing of a 70s, the way they dress and things like that. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was nice, and it was nice to sort of, one of my favorite things is trying to work out who the killer is. That's like the best bit of a whole. And if you guess it straight away, then you're just a bit like, I am so smart. It doesn't matter if it's bad,
I'm so
written
smart.
bad. I am so smart. I guessed that straight away. But yeah, I think that makes me scrutinize films too much, though.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're not going to talk about it, but we watched a film we recently watched a film, and I guessed the killer straight away, and I'm just like, okay, let's see how they do it, because I'm pretty sure this is the killer, and that's what happened. So I think, I don't know, I think maybe I'm just getting too old. I think maybe the film degree helps as well. I don't know. But I think with the film studies and the way that we do as film critics and film lovers, we tend to scrutinize a film rather than just going to watch it. I mean, sometimes I wish I'm going to sound like horrible here. I wish I was dumb. I'd just go and enjoy a film just for no reason. Like, I wish I could just go and enjoy Wrong Turn. Nobody enjoys Wrong Turn. It's an awful film, but you just
I'm just going to clarify. That's not Jamie insinuating that anyone is dumb if they just enjoy films. I think what you're trying to say is you don't have to.
I can guess everything that's going to happen, or I have to critique every little bit. I'm watching and going, oh, this should have been there, or that should have been that, or what's he doing wearing a watch? He's a pirate, kind of thing. In Pirates of the Caribbean.
it's like you said before. It's because we are film fans, and also you do have like you have an education in film, which kind of helps along that way, but also hinders you. You know, it's a curse. It's a curse to have such
Mhm.
knowledge. And also the wrong turn films. Sometimes you just, they're just those types of films. I think one of the things that I kind of found is that the horror community is really good for having comfort films in very strange kinds of films. So like it was a trend going around.
Yeah, we know Silent Hill.
Shut up! I love Silent Hill. If I have a bad week, it is Silent Hill Revelations, back to back, and I don't even care. I will live tweet it as I watch it, and it'll be the same tweets every time.
Well, I think that's one thing I need to. What do I have? See, I'm different. Like I love horror. Like horror, like slash is my favorite genre of all time. But
Yeah.
I'd just stick on Mamma Mia. Oh no.
No, see, one of my main, like, forget Silent Hill, Bone Collector with Denzel Washington and Angelina Jolie is like chef's kiss. It's a great film. I watch that when I'm real sad. That or Whitney Houston, The Bodyguard. That's another one. There you
Make
go.
you
That's
even
a bit
more
more.
depressed.
Yeah, just a bit more. That's a bit more of a standard response of like, what's your comfort film?
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
So with Prom Night then, I mean, there she is with
Yes.
her axe and her flowers. I mean, I love the tagline as well. Someone will be crowned, others will lose their heads. There it is. There's that head. I mean, that's kind of a spoiler because that looks like a poster, but there you go. So what would you give? I don't know how you want to start rating these. You want to do it out of 5, out of 10?
Let's do out of
Out of
5.
10. Out of 5?
Out of 5. I feel 10's too much. There's too much
Okay.
give. And 5's a bit more concise. I'll let you go
Okay.
first because I've spoken a lot this episode.
I would say a solid 3. I mean, I don't think it's got enough about it to be a 4. But in regards to the story, the way it has 4 slasher movies, I mean, because some of it, again, like I said, was just a bit like again, there's so much parts I could critique, like why is she friends with these people? Well, I mean, why is she doing this kind of thing? Like I said, the ending was kind of a bit fast. The killer, I mean, there wasn't. I mean, granted, yeah, his sister died, but there wasn't really a lot of motive to say like why he did it. He wasn't tormented throughout. He was always happy and go lucky throughout the whole film. He was just like, yeah, I love my life. Hi, sister, I love you. I'm gonna fight for you. He was never sad or like tormented throughout the whole film. So that kind of like came out of nowhere as well. And then yeah, so I'm gonna say a solid 3.
Okay. I'll agree with that. I was gonna say 3.5, like for me. Like I think it is round about that sort of midway thing. It did the job.
You had 0.5. That's still out of 10, then, really, isn't it? I mean,
Oh,
if you had 0.5,
don't be
it's still
like
out
that. I feel really, I can't be harsh. I can't be harsh because I know the time and effort goes into film. So
yeah, of
yeah.
course.
So yeah, around the mid mark, I would definitely say that. I think for what it did for the slasher genre, you can't go wrong with Jamie Lee Curtis, and like I said, the effects were really good. I know that some of the action shots were quite quick, especially with like the beheading sort of area, but the stabbing and the back of the van, great. Some great kills. That's all you want, isn't it, from these types of films? You want to see how people die. And that sounds really morbid, but it's just
Yeah.
why else would you watch these films?
I know they talk a lot about in the 80s with all the because there's no CGI, they have to actually be creative with their kills and stuff. And we forget as well, 1980 also saw Friday the 13th in America as well, and this is like one of the start of these teen slasher films. It was definitely one of the first ones to do it. So you can't knock it for what it did for the slasher genres, which is why I wanted to really watch it to see its early influences within the genre. So we say 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5 for Prom Night 1980.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I think that's all we have for our first episode. Do you want to tell us what we're going to be doing in the next coming episodes?
Yes. So our next episode in a fortnight will be another just chit chat episode, but our topic will be on horror TV. So those TV series that we just like to watch to just get a little spooky, and what our favourites are and why they're our favourites, and also what, especially in this current era, we've got quite a few coming out that are spinning off from films. So what we think they're going to be like, and then our next. After that one, our next reviewing film will be Jamie's choice, as he has already seen it. Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
I have not seen Happy Death Day, so this is Jamie's challenge to me, so that we can have him be the mastermind, and
I have to be the mastermind.
you can be the mastermind, and then I will give my honest reviews, because I'm not gonna lie, there's a reason why I haven't watched it so far. So yeah.
There's a reason why you haven't watched it. Okay. I'm sure we'll go over it in 4 weeks' time, I'm sure, and maybe a little bit in the next 2 weeks. But I really enjoyed Happy Death Day. It's one of the most recent, because it's got a lot of comedy elements into it as well, and I really liked the director Chris Landon as well. He also did obviously Happy Death Day 2, and then Freaky as well, which is a great film. If you've seen Freaky, same director. That's a good film as well. But they've always got these comedy elements in it, and I absolutely love it. It's Groundhog Day, basically, isn't it? But we'll go into it a different time. But thank you, everybody, for listening to us. I hope you enjoyed this episode. There's more to come as well. You can always follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Bloody Brilliant Podcast. If you're watching, it's down here. There you go. So make sure you can follow us. We'll always have stuff on there. You can always... I was about to say tweet us. You can't. We don't have Twitter. Maybe at some point we'll have Twitter. By the next time we have an episode, we might have Twitter. It's probably going to be at Bloody Brilliant Podcast. Just type it in anywhere. You might find us. But we definitely have Instagram and Facebook. So message us if you want to tell us how much you enjoyed it, how much you hated it, if you agree with our views, if you disagree with our views, if you want us to review a film or anything, just let us know, and we can happily interact with you and tell you how wrong you are. But that's basically this episode. So thank you very much.
Thank you.